Molweni and welcome to The Social Show. My name is Viwe Kyolwana. As the intro actually said, The Social Show is the only show in the Southern Hemisphere dedicated to telling CSI, CSR and shared value stories. I know what some of you are thinking. She brings good news. But do I? We look at how our corporates and our government and civil society come together to tackle issues affecting our communities today. So what good have you done lately? Don't worry, I'll wait. While I wait, you can go to @BrandLiveRadio on our Twitter page, or you can go to www.brandliveradio on Facebook, and you can let me know what good you have done lately. And definitely, I will send you a special shout out. And I will let everyone know in South Africa within the CSI space that this person is doing well and doing good in their community. It's very important that we encourage each other, that we make sure that we expose each other to all this amazing information so that we can inspire people to do the same thing together. I always say fully functioning communities that don't just rely on the government or on corporates to do stuff. Those communities that can enable themselves to do more just together. Those are the communities that always work out well. And that's what we're trying to inspire change within the community where people come together and make it work. Now, I'm not going to ramble on. I'm just going to let you know that it's time for the news. A vast new marine protected area has been created in the Indian Ocean around Seychelles Islands. The government announced on Thursday, the 22nd of February, the 200,000 kilometer zone, an area equivalent to nearly half of the Black Sea, is intended to protect both the sea and the archipelago economy, which relies on fishing and tourism. It is the result of a groundbreaking financial deal brokered in 2016 by the American NGO, the Nature Conservancy. Under it, 21 million of the government debt was swapped for conservation funding to protect the low-lying, ocean-dependent nation against the effects of climate change, including warming, rising and acidifying seas. The deal will cover roughly 50% of Seychelles' exclusive economic zone, which is partly funded by a foundation chaired by a Hollywood actor and environmental activist, Leonardo DiCaprio. Almost 1/3 of the new reserve will be off limits to all fishing. The remaining area will allow small case and local fishing, but ban trawlers from the country's 300 million fishing industry. The new protected areas include the remote Albadora atolls, home to nesting seabirds, horsebill turtles, giant tortoises, and dugong, or sea cow. Dogley also said that by 2020, close to 1/3 of Seychelles' water will be protected with a new spatial plan for ocean use to prevent unregulated and illegal fishing, as well as oil and gas exploration, deep sea mining, as well as dredging. In other news, about 200 million people are undernourished in Africa as climate change and conflicts heighten food insecurity across the continent. This was said by a top UN Food Agency official on Monday, 19th of February. The official, speaking at a conference on Africa organized by the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, said the situation was a cause for concern as the continent's population was expected to reach 1.7 million by 2030. Undernourishment appears to have increased from about 21% to nearly 23% between 2015 and 2016. Bukati Jan, FAO's Assistant Director General for Africa, said the regional conference that opened on Monday in Khartoum. The rise in undernourishment and food insecurity was related to climate changes and natural disasters, Tijani later told the AFP on sidelines of the forum. And lastly, in our news, WESA recently welcomed 133 Northern Cape youth into the Youth Environmental Services, the YES program. The initiative is funded by the Department of Environmental Affairs. The learnership aims to expose unemployed, disadvantaged youth between the ages of 18 and 35 to mentored work, integrated learning opportunities in the environmental and ecotourism sector. Additional components of this program are provision of accredited environmental practices skills, courses and training in life skills, as well as participation in community service. The 2 days per month of the community service, which each participant will be delivering within an environmental sector in their local community, are a key component to the program. And this community service is set to capacitate schools, old age homes, animal shelters, disabled care centres, urban parks, as well as youth clubs in the Northern Cape. That concludes our news for the day, ladies and gentlemen.
My name is Sene. I'm a chemical engineer and I work as a process specialist at Presolid. As a manufacturing company, we are very concerned with ensuring responsible consumption and production. Therefore, we continuously invest in new technology that reduces our environmental impact and increases the energy efficiency of our production. Part of my job is to experiment with and measure the flow of the raw material. It helps us match the material and the product to minimize waste in the production.
Imagine that you have $1.25. In the United States, you can have 5 bags of deep cheese and a pretzel. In London, you can have an instant soup. In India, you can have 2 steamed rice cakes. In Ghana, you can have a small box of chicken and rice. While you're imagining the tasty smell of that chicken and rice, 1.3 billion people around the world only have $1.25 to survive per day. They don't have a choice, but you do.
What kind of things does a child deserve to have in his or her tiny hands? Probably a candy or a toy, or even better, a book and a pen. But what if this pen gets replaced by a gun? Imagine the horror of violence and abuse children are facing every day and the kind of future we are building for them. In fact, 300,000 children are still working as militants in conflicting areas all around the world. They did not have a choice, but you do.
You're back on the social show with myself, Viwe, and of course, every single week I try to bring you the very best social entrepreneurs that South Africa has to offer. And I've been doing this in partnership with Monash South Africa as they launched the MSA Leading Entrepreneurs for African Development in 2016, a fellowship program for young social entrepreneurs between the ages of 16 and 29 years old. Now, the program is a result of a global partnership between MSA, the International Youth Foundation, and the Laureate in International Universities. It's implemented by Monash South Africa. The program identifies and supports young social entrepreneurs across South Africa while strengthening the regional youth social innovation sector as a whole. So I've been profiling MSA Lead Fellows or fellowship contestants or people that have gone into the program for the past few weeks, and it's been so interesting for me. Some of them have come to the studio, some of them I've spoken to over the phone, telephonically, and it's been really an amazing journey for me because I actually want to venture into social entrepreneurship myself, and I've been getting such great ideas from projects in the arts, projects that are about the township economy, projects that are just really amazing, that give back to the community but also allow them to make a profit, profit with purpose. And I completely chant those words over and over. Whenever I think of starting a business, I think if it's not going to be socially potent, what is the point? What is the point of me just contributing just financially? I also want to make sure that I'm contributing to the economy, but I'm also contributing to the people's livelihoods and how they see the world and how they experience the world, and how the younger generation is going to experience the world when they come out, how they understand the environment, how they understand arts and culture, how they understand how they can make other people's lives better. Across South Africa, young leaders are pioneering innovative solutions to urgent social and environmental challenges. And these young visionaries represent a powerful force if given the opportunity. And today, I'll be speaking to David. Now, David Shields is a 27-year-old and is the co-founder and director of the GEM project. GEM is called Going the Extra Mile, which is a dynamic mobile tool which measures and rewards do-good behavior in low-income communities in South Africa. The platform uses an app-based and USSD technology to help sort of inform underprivileged community members volunteering opportunities nearby. Listed activities include tutoring learners, feeding the homeless, helping abandoned animals, community cleanups, and recycling. And in return for their participation, users are rewarded with gems. Now, I know a lot of you volunteer, and I'm sure you've done a lot of things in your CSI work, but getting a reward for doing good, that's something that's really, really new for me. They have a sort of a form of currency that they use where people who have participated can spend it on data, airtime, prepaid, electricity, groceries, movie tickets, and such. Now, Shields is constantly seeking new ways to do well by doing good. And in his everyday sort of interactions with the world, he strives to exemplify strong social values with a good charisma and charm, which he has. I think I met him at the MSA fellowship program, and he was really, really kind, very nice man. And today on the show, we'll be speaking to David Shields, who I think is on the line. Good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the warm words. You can't see me right now, but I'm definitely blushing. So much appreciated.
I can actually see a big smile on your face. Whenever I think of you, I just think of this guy with a really amazing smile, great energy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having us on board here.
100%. Now, tell us more about you, like who you are, your history, and how it sort of helped shape what you are doing today and ultimately get you to GEM.
Yeah, so, all right, I guess if you look at the basic demographics, just a typical boy from Joburg who wanted to use tech for good. I think in a place like South Africa, we see the disparity between rich and poor and have and have not. And it's so consistently in your face. And I think it's almost our duty to want to change things regarding that in whatever way possible. I mean, they don't have to be a big thing that completely alters the state of the nation. But if every single person contributes in some small way, then, you're leaving effectively a legacy that is better than what you inherited. And that's what's really, really important. So I feel like, we were placed in this fortunate position with the resources and the opportunities growing up in the environment that we did. And I feel like it's a bit of a waste if we just continue to exploit that and not want to at least give back, in a sense, to the next generation and to the have-not, wanting to at least contribute to a society that is on a more equal footing than, again, what we've inherited.
Definitely. And I just looked at your bio. I mean, you're 27, you're quite young. And also you grew up, like you said, in a space where you Joburg is a little bit better than, rural Eastern Cape, I suppose. So it kind of interests me to find out what about social entrepreneurship, what got you interested and what was this awareness and how did you get this awareness of doing good and making sure that, you affect your community sort of positively? Where did you fall in love with this social entrepreneurship?
So it's a very good question. And I think it relates back to meeting my partner in crime, Camilo Ramada. So he's essentially been in mobile payments for the last 15 years now. And he works for an organization in the Netherlands called the Social Trade Organization. And he came to South Africa on a business trip about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
And we started chatting through mutual friends. We got speaking about why is it in South Africa where you have communities that often have a lot of time and a lot of willpower, right? Like a very activated human social capital, but they don't have the opportunities and resources. So everyone kind of sits idle, right? And we realized that in those communities, a large part of the reason why people are sitting idle and they're not really mobilizing for the greater community is that there is a lack of incentive. So we started strategizing, we got speaking a bit more, and we came up with a very basic construct of what GEM is, which is effectively to reward good deeds in the community. So someone taking the initiative, going out and actively doing a do-good task that contributes to a more harmonious environment. And a lot of people have come back to us and they said, yeah, but why? I mean, you should never reward doing good deeds. It should be, like a philanthropic task.
Yes.
And I think it's a little bit self-righteous to say that because it's one thing to do good deeds for, if you have the right kind of circumstances in place that enable you to do so. But when you don't have much to offer, you're more concerned about putting food on the table and your kids through education and, just keeping a household together. And that we found was our basic target demographic.
Yes.
So we wanted to give people an incentive to go out and to do good within their community, and of course then earn a small reward that also helps them feel appreciated, as if they were contributing to a greater society.
100%. And I think sometimes when you think of even the word philanthropy, you think some rich guy somewhere, in Santon. But when you think of GEM, you also think it can, be double fold, where you don't have to be, really moneyed, but you can get something and you can help yourself. When did you decide to get involved with the MSA Lead program?
Sorry, please repeat the question.
I'm sorry. I'm saying, when did you get involved with the MSA Lead program?
So so basically, I found out about the MSA program courtesy of Sophie Kanza, who was actually a fellow from the previous year. And so the Sophie Kanza Foundation is involved in all kinds of amazing philanthropic activities, just from hosting kids' parties to running sanitary drives and putting kids through school. So when I found out about this program, I thought, well, let me give it a shot and see if it's worth our while. And Sophie Kanza was basically on the GEM platform initially, and she still is to this day. So we would list her activations for people on the GEM platform and in the GEM community to then go and attend her events and earn gems for it. So I got in touch and we applied. And then, very much lucky and privileged to be afforded the opportunity to work with Monash and with the MSA team.
Definitely. I know you've been doing quite a lot of work, but who do you hope to collaborate with in the future to sort of help grow GEM to be, what you've always wanted it to be?
So the idea now is now that we've got an established base and we've got a really nice network of tech providers, of companies in the field, of the greater NGO community, we want to go a step further and start affording the low-income user the opportunity to effectively use a financial services platform, but not for the sake of banking, but just enable them to make use of a payments platform that isn't overly expensive, that isn't intimidating, that doesn't, take advantage and exploit the process. And there's so many people like that exist in South Africa.
Yes.
So we want to take GEM now and move it one step further and give people a bit of financial inclusivity, because we found that that's also hugely what's lacking in the lower end of the consumer base. And so, that's the next step that we're hoping to work towards.
Yes.
And of course, anyone who's really playing in that space, I think there's definitely a possible collaboration there. But I think at large, for GEM to grow, it's very much a social venture. And so we'd love to collaborate with all kinds of different companies to see how we can help them achieve their CSI goals.
Yes.
And of course, grow this thing into the areas such as the rural kinds of places.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of townships in, the scarcer regions within the country that desperately need these access to opportunities. And so, that's where ultimately we would like to grow and branch towards.
100%. What I love about the MSA Lead program is that you probably met a lot of different visionaries. And I just want to know, as someone who has a working formula, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who really wants to get into social entrepreneurship? What are the challenges? What can they look out for? And what can they use to sort of motivate them to carry on?
So I think the big thing initially is that as a social entrepreneur, you generally set out to want to change the world, right? And you've got these grand schemes and big ideas. And I think everyone who works in this NGO social entrepreneurship space is really pure at heart. And they just want to change the world, make it a better place so that we can kind of live together in this harmonious environment. The trouble with that is that a lot of the time people just have this great big idea, but they don't have the step-by-step process that enables them to just bite off one small chunk at a time. And so always have that long-term vision in mind, but really just set yourself these small goals, these achievable tasks, even if it's day to day or hour to hour.
Yeah.
Say, okay, cool, now I've achieved that. How do you eat an elephant? It's bit by bit. And that's so important, I think, in today's social entrepreneurship space. Otherwise, we all lose inspiration and motivation at some point. But if you continue to just achieve those small tasks, it puts you in good stead.
Definitely. And by the end of it, you'll find yourself somewhere a little bit better. Where can people find the GEM project? If I'm a donor, if I'm a potential investor, where do I get a hold of you?
So we're quite active on all forms of digital media.
Yes.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We also have a website, which is www.gemproject.org. And if anyone would like to get in touch for a possible collaboration, a partnership, a sponsorship, you can email me at david@gemproject.org.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, David. It was amazing talking to you, and all the best for the year. I know you guys have a lot that you're going to be doing.
Thank you so much. And all the best to you guys. And once again, thanks to Monash South Africa and to the MSA program for making this happen and to connecting other social entrepreneurs in the same space. I think that's also such an important thing, is to learn and constantly collaborate with different parties so that ultimately what you're trying to achieve is heightened,
Yes.
as well as the potential for collaborations to happen creatively.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
100%. Thank you so much, David.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too. That was David Shields, a 27-year-old, the co-founder and director of GEM Project. I love it. I love when I see young people doing these amazing, amazing things, because it inspires me. It inspires more young people, and it makes sure that it sort of drives us into the right space. When we think we can and we see other people our age doing amazing, good things, it always sits well with me. But more than that, it makes me so inspired. It gets me so inspired. And of course, as I said, David Shields is the co-founder and director of the GEM Project, which is a platform that uses app-based and USSD technology to help inform underprivileged community members and volunteering opportunities nearby. Listed activities include tutoring learners, feeding the homeless, helping abandoned animals, community cleanups, and recycling. That was amazing. We're going to go for a break, and when we come back, we're going to end off the show with things to remember.
My name is Andrew Lowndes. I'm the UK and Ireland Sales Manager for Presslit Care. At Presslit Care, we're very passionate about providing access for people with physical disabilities. And we're very passionate about the Changing Places campaign that provide larger accessible toilet and changing facilities. It's fantastic when we can see the smile on the faces of users. That's our reward, is to see the satisfaction and the enjoyment that people have.
Well, you're back on the social show with myself, Viwe, and I don't know why I keep introducing myself after every section. I think you guys know who I am, especially if you listen to the show a lot. I keep saying it's Viwe. But just for you guys not to forget, of course, this is the time of the show where we speak a little bit about what I like to say, things to remember, things that will get you about the day, get you off the office, get you speaking to your friends and your family about, get you just remembering something beyond yourself, beyond whatever worries you have, beyond whatever frustrations you may have in your life at the moment, something just to make you think outside the box and think of other people and appreciate where you are, or try fix whatever it is that isn't working within your community. Things to remember is that time of the show where I just leave you with a few words from somebody that is either organization or somebody who has some sort of influence over a specific theme around CSI, who knows something about something and wants to help share it with you. And today we're going to be talking a little bit into biodiversity. I was privileged to be at a few biodiversity conferences this past week, and I just thought this would be something that would be worth the listen. So take a listen, and then we'll be back after this.
400 kilometers off the eastern coast of Africa, Madagascar boasts unrivaled species and ecosystem diversity. Nearly 98% of the island's land mammals, 91% of its reptiles, and 80% of its flowering plants are found nowhere else on Earth. Scientists from Chicago's Field Museum, including MacArthur Fellow Steve Goodman, are studying and seeking to conserve biodiversity here. In Madagascar and 7 other areas of the tropics, the Foundation strives to strike a balance between conservation and the needs of rural communities in developing countries. A research initiative at Arizona State University is examining this question using case studies in Peru, Tanzania, and Vietnam. Other new projects seek to identify and mitigate the threat from global climate change on species in some of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet.
Well, as you heard, Madagascar has an amazing fruits around their biodiversity. Not only I'm talking fruits like in terms of food, I mean fruits in terms of the things that they are able to harvest and have birthed naturally from that beautiful country. It's very important that we look around us and we look at the things that we have that are unique to just South Africa, that are unique to your neighborhood, that are unique to whatever space that you find yourself in, that makes South Africa what it is, but also teach us about how important it is to conserve our spaces and to conserve our beautiful world. And that was just a small reminder of the kind of things that you can experience in a continent such as Africa, in a space so far but so close to us, Madagascar. And of course, this is not to say that South Africa doesn't have, or the rest of the world doesn't have. It's just to say there are spaces that we don't really speak about. There are species you've never heard. There are animals you've never seen. And it's very important that we kind of get ourselves informed and get ourselves educated around the spaces around us and the environments that surround us, and just get to know what's going on. And that concludes the social show for this day. It's been a beautiful it's been a beautiful show, actually. I'm still kind of speechless because David really wowed me with his charm. But no, seriously, Gem Project is really one of my favorite projects. It feels young, it feels youthful, and they really have been working very hard to get their platform pushed onto different CSR platforms, and I really wish them the best. Thanks again to Monash South Africa for all their love and all their support with my wanting to expose at least one social entrepreneur a week, if I can, I do two. I just want to say, like, if you are a donor and if you are somebody that knows that, social entrepreneurship is the future, which is my prediction, I challenge you to find out, listen to a few of the podcasts, find out who is doing what within the specific fellowship program, and try your best to support them in whatever way that you can. It's very important that we support these initiatives, and when they work, more people get involved, more people do what they need to do, and we finally, we eventually, hopefully, will meet our NDP goals, which is what this show is about, reaching the NDP goals, reaching Vision 2030 amidst all the problems and all the things that have been taking place thus far. Anyway, that concludes the show. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to know more about what we do, please go to www.social-tv.co.za. But if you want this podcast, or you want to tell your friends about this podcast, it will be on www.social-tv.co.za by the end of the day. And it's been really great. You will definitely hear from me again, same time, same place, only on the Social show every weekday, 9:30 till 10 a.m. Ciao.